If you're watching live, you saw Brent's internet issues. If you're not watching live, he had some on another video, but we're rocking here. This is our Film Don't Lie feature on Georgia's offense against Kentucky, an offense that I think left a lot of people wondering what the heck happened. Just not quite as explosive. Brock Bowers didn't touch the ball as much as he needed to, and we'll get to all of those comments that maybe we've gotten some other folks and some of the questions that we had ourselves. Before we do that, though, I would like to give a shout out to our partner for Film Don't Lie for the remainder of this season, and that's our good friends over at Jittery Joe's. JitteryJoes.com is where you buy this lovely National Championship limited edition coffee can. With every week, I'm getting more and more confident that you're going to want to have this in your collection because they're going to have to make another one for Georgia's potential 2022 National Championship. We'll all find out together. It may not happen, but if it does, you're going to want to have this, as that's when everything changed for Georgia. And if it doesn't, you're going to want to have this because Georgia at least had its moment in the sun. This is a great coffee. It's between a light and a medium roast. Get it at any place that you buy your Jittery Joe's products. I've seen it at Stripling's on Highway 78. You can get it at any of the Jittery Joe's stores, or you can get it at jitteryjoes.com. It's a really good coffee. They're a great company. It's Athens' favorite coffee. This is one of those things I used long before we were partners with them over here at ugasports.com. And that's what the can looks like. I've been blabbering about it, and I meant to bring it up on the screen share. So go check it out. You know the logo. You know that you're elite or you're not. And you know that Georgia was national champions in 2021, 1980, 1942. We'll see if 2022 joins it as well. Brent, Georgia's offense here, overall, not explosive on the stat sheet, but still they did move the ball.
Yeah, they did. It's just field goals instead of touchdowns. Pretty simple. I mean, you get touchdowns at least one or two of the times that you do. It's you're at 30 and you're up near 30 and you feel great about how you played and you went on the road and played in a tough sort of a cold and windy environment and you took care of business, but you didn't. You had field goals. And thus, Kentucky hung around, and it was more interesting at the end than it should have been.
And we're not going to get into much strategy if Georgia should have kicked a field goal to go up 19. I think they should have.
No.
I think the numbers would dictate that. Brent says no, go for it. Put the hammer down.
Just call a different play.
We'll get into some of Georgia's short yardage struggles because I think that was the main question that people had. But first, let's start with this 2nd and 8 here, Ladd McConkey.
It's 1 week we see it once every three or four games, and it's one of these things where Bowers in this game just was off. This is actually the lowest graded game of his career, primarily because he obviously wasn't really targeted much. I think he was only targeted 3 times in the game, but thus he's now making a ton of run blocking plays that make up his grade. And he was just off all game. Like here, I don't know why he's not anticipating that guy going up the field. He gets him, but it makes Ladd take a step or two back. So now you're slow and getting the edge.
I think he's feeling like McConkey to come out wider here.
Yeah, bows it a little bit, and it's not like it impedes the play, and you still get a first down, and you're still rolling. But you'd rather Ladd have a full head of steam against these guys and maybe make a miss. And then also, Rosemary Jackson, does a great job throughout the play. But what do we always talk about? Not where they are, where they're going. Get your head and your butt. Like he does a good job of staying with it. But get his head and his butt on the right side, the defender's left, now that guy's has to go under you, and you're getting a full head of steam and be able to make people miss. But good stuff. I think this may have been the second play of the opening drive. I think.
Yeah,
quick stuff. Get rolling. First down. Move on.
With Rosemary specifically, I could still tell that he is playing injured. A nagging injury from the week before. And you even saw in some of the personnel decisions later on that we'll see, because they're just a better team with downfield blocking when it's Rosemary in there instead of some other guys.
Yep.
And this was the miss to Darnell targeted wheel route here.
When your offensive coordinator gives you layups, you got to hit them. You just got to hit them. And this is part there's a lot of things going on here, I think. One is I think Darnell, as soon as he sees the corner go with Bell, he's like, oh, the ball's coming to me. And he turns around a little too much, and it slows him down a little bit. So that's one thing.
Because his feet are going this way, but his shoulders are staying right
yes. So
here.
And there's like a little false step like right after this that it slows him down just a little bit. 2, the wind issue. I don't know if Stetson wanted to put more sort of straight line throws versus putting the ball up in the air a little more. But this is one where, like, as a coach, you're yelling at your QB, throw the completion. And what I mean by that, this isn't press coverage. You got to drop it in the bucket and make the big time dime throw. This is throw the completion. Put some air under it. He's wide the heck open, and he goes and he's got one guy to miss the score.
Because this ball lands at the 19-yard line. It lands about right here. And what you're saying is you take 3 yards off of that, you're good, dude.
Yeah, put some air under it. Put a little bit of air under it, especially when they're wide the heck open like that.
And it's
now the other part.
Darnell.
Yes, exactly, because he's been overthrown like way too many times already. The other part that I'm going to get a little, if I'm coaching QB specifically, hey, let's actually fake this guy. Let's actually have a ball fake here, as opposed to the little tick that you do with the football right there. Like attention to detail.
and so, just because and we texted about this earlier. The other thing on this play is, yes, Darnell's open. This is the right decision. I am not. A lot of times on this, I say this is a thing that Stetson didn't see. I'm just pointing out as well that McConkey's wide open on this route down here, and he
undressed the corner,
turned around.
Yeah, he undressed him, and he's just not a part of the read here. He's on the whole back side. But yes, this is one where, okay, dial it in, make this throw, and you just miss because you get exactly what you want. You get exactly what you want. That's the sad part.
All right, now we need to talk about a little Kenny Mack here because he had a hell of a game.
Yes, he did, and this is a couple of different things with this play. One, the motion gives you great angles. I wish they would run it as like a fake jet motion, but because of the motion, which they typically use motion to set up passing game type things, because of the motion, look how the linebacker shift. Now you have phenomenal angles. And because of that, like this is one where Bowers just misses. Like Kenny should have a head of steam here. And Brock comes and hits and puts his head down. And the instant you put your head down, you can't now get your head on the outside and your butt shifted to the right. He's straight on with him. And that guy makes the play. Versus Kenny Mack having a head of steam and maybe making that guy miss and get an extra little bit of yards. Because McClendon just caved. They stunt inside, and McClendon does a phenomenal job at right tackle of caving that guy in.
Because if I just pause it right here and you see if those blocks are hit, this should be a big play.
Yeah, you got all kinds of space. Like now you have 3 deep safeties, but he's got space. And the way Ladd does a good job.
We can agree this should be a first down.
100% should be a first down.
Yeah,
Ladd does a good job. You got a head of steam. You make this guy right there miss. You get a first down. Like I said, like it was Bowers' lowest graded game of his career. So it just missed.
Red zone issues. We're going to talk about this a lot here in this video. And this play is one that you recognize from a very famous Georgia play. Yeah,
this is the Bowers and the Natty and the Bowers in Michigan. Like they did the sugar huddle even, quick to the line. And it's one where I think responsibility and given and I think obviously the play, those guys play it differently. But second and goal, I would like for Stetson maybe to be selfish here and think, okay, I'm going to go make a play with Bowers as my outlet or make them cover me and then put it out there to him. But the other thing is, if you go back to the snap, so they obviously line up in an unbalanced formation here. And Warren McClendon, Brock's the right tackle. Warren McClendon is now the tight end instead of the left. He's the extra lineman basically. And you see that he kind of does more of a, okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do at tackle, which is down and then to the backer. But then he's like, oh, no, that guy's outside and he's late to turn around and get to him. That's the guy who makes the play.
This was kind of a mess at the line of scrimmage.
It was, but what have we just shown? We've just shown 2 plays where, okay, instead of getting touchdowns or Darnell, you missed that play, you eventually get a field goal. This one right here, you potentially missed this because, and here's the key. With any play like this, I like Bauer. I'll take my chances with the ball in Bauer's hand.
Because you're saying
if he's got to make a miss, if he's got to go run through guys.
You're saying Stetson did that little loft pass right here, and you just see, all right, if this block's hit, I think you like your chances of Bowers going 7 yards from where he catches it in this area and avoiding this guy.
I like his chances even with the 2 guys out there, nobody else out there. I like his chances. I mean, not anyway. And I think he's not playing the QB there. He's playing Bowers' release, and then because you see the behind the QB, the all 22 angle, he's not really reading the QB. He's just pushing him out and playing responsibility, getting a chip on him, and then coming back into the play. But anyway, again, 2 situations where instead of getting touchdowns, you get field goals.
So this one here, this is probably the play of the game that I thought, other than the Darnell miss. This is just, I think, some bad coaching in terms of personnel on the field, because I'm going to pause this here. This is just a little screen attempt to Bowers here. He does a good job. Here's what you have. You have Amarius Mims prowling in the open field with Brock Bowers behind him. The only thing is, this is Dom Blaylock, and he is at least, 4 down on Georgia's list of best blocking receivers. I'd rather have McConkey blocking out there. I'd rather have Roseman blocking out there. This is not a shot against Dom Blaylock. I'm just saying that this is not his forte. I'd rather have Karis Jackson making this particular block, because what you see is, rather than owning his man here, he allows his man to neutralize having Amarius Mims out here. Because even if I go back just a blip earlier, all you have to do is stay with your guy here. And then if Mims is able to continue to come block here, then Mr. Bowers, boom. Frustrating.
Well, it is. And I was sitting there watching this live, and this was the 3rd drive of the game. And he had yet to be targeted. Like, he had yet to have a touch. He'd yet to be targeted. They line up, and my sons were sitting beside me watching the game. I said, this is the Bauer screen. Like, it just felt the time for him to get the ball. But when you're taking notes on this is a KYP. Know your personnel. Because not only Blaylock, but just watch Mims. Mims looks like a guy who's been missing in action for a few weeks.
Not quite
He's
the vigor
very
that you want with a blocker in the field.
He's very gingerly moving there. And that's a guy, like, you're talking about a guy who played, I think, 9-10 snaps in this game. Like, you're asking that guy who's been out of the game for a few, or off the field for a few weeks, to now go out in space and do that when it was his knee, left or one of his knees that was an issue. It just looked awkward. It looked un-Mims like. And it's one of those things where, like you said, would you rather have your sort of normal McClendon there, other guys in there? Yeah, I think so. But that's one of those things where I would love to know that from a communication standpoint, is the OC telling these guys, hey, we're about to run a screen. Make sure we're here with this personnel from a personnel perspective, or are they just guys doing the rotation? Because, by the way, 3rd series of the game, Mims normally plays the 3rd series of the game at right tackle. Yep. So, it's just kind of how it ends up. But in this case, it ended up in it'd be nice if it had gone left instead of right, I guess you could say.
In a perfect world, that's Darnell Washington blocking out there, because he's the best blocker on the team. However, you just can't do that with this particular look, because he's not a tackle. So it's going to change the complexion of the defense if you do it that way.
Yep.
Next up here, this is minutes ago here in the first half.
Wasn't all bad for Brock. He gets a little pancake action right there on counter. Dom gets enough of that guy, and
game-changing play, I thought.
Yeah, and you go down to get some points. And Kenny Mack has just been a man possessed the past 4 to 5 games, really 4 games since Florida. And he got 100, I think 102 of his 143 yards after contact. So he's doing a lot of work on his own. By the way, 32. Are you playing flag football? Like it's like, but just a good Dom gets a piece and then accelerates off. 32 is like, oh, pull the flag, no, pull the flag. Oh, I guess it is tackle football. I guess I'll bring him down.
Couple things. One, Kentucky didn't have answers for what Georgia was. Oh, my line here. They didn't have answers for Georgia crossing the formation here with blockers, any kind of counter.
Yeah.
The other thing, and I talked about blocking receivers, Mr. McConkey starts here. He ends up down here and runs the whole time to be able to like help on this play. And, a lot of times the receiver away from where the ball's going is just do what you do out here. That's not the case in this. And, man, I'm just impressed with McConkey, everything that he does.
I watched George Pickens kind of do that today on the play away from him. He just kind of jogged a little bit on a run play. But Willock at right guard and coming around, logging the backer there. Most snaps he's played in the game, I think it was 65 snaps. Second highest grade of his career. Just played really well. Boom. Perfect outside shoulder. Go get it. And good job by, like you said, good job by Ladd hustling down the field.
And, I threw a little shade at Don Blaylock's way. This is initially bad, but he makes something of it. So I need to praise him for sticking with it because
gets a piece.
Off of the snap here, it's, oh, never mind. Stick with it. Find somebody. Boom.
Get a piece. And then Kenny Mack does the rest.
Didn't get a great piece. Guy still got, a hand on Kenny. But
he wasn't prepared to make the tackle because of what Dom did.
Right. So not all bad with Dom, but what I'm saying is if you're going to have him as your open field blocker in other plays, maybe consider Ladd or Rosemy in that spot. All right. Is this more counter?
Yep. Second one. And it's, what's interesting about the game, good patience. Always you hear me say it over and over again with running backs, patience to the hole, accelerate through the hole, patience, boom, accelerate. Went down a little easier than I would like, but still good acceleration. And I think what you're getting now over the last few games from Kendall Milton as he gets healthier is he's looking more and more explosive with each game. I love watching him run like this where it's just full steam ahead versus like, say, one of the early touches I think he got down near the goal line. He tried to stiff arm the guy as opposed to just running right through him. And with him getting his explosiveness back, I think you've kind of established that Edwards and Kenny Mack are your two kind of primary guys. He's a phenomenal, you got 3 guys now who you fully trust with the football.
You remember you talking about flag football from 32?
Yeah.
He made a business decision on this play, and his business decision was, oh man, that's Darnell, and let me highlight.
I'm gonna go around him.
Yeah,
this is go around right here.
Through. What he decides is, I'll just turn around and kind of peel off the other way. Not really worth my time and effort on this play because it's Darnell Washington, and I know that, and I would make the same decision.
That's phenomenal job by him too. Chip and then off of the off on the backer. That's exactly how it's done. Boom, take him where he wants to go. Now you got your hole.
All right, let's talk about it. Everyone wanted us to. Why could Georgia not get a yard when it needed to get a yard?
I will say I'm not as overly concerned by this as, and I wrote about it after the game, because what is your best option in these plays and in this? And we're going to talk about it when we look at the play of the game, but your best option is for Stetson to have an option to run, like the quarterback's legs to be a run threat. But obviously you should be able to get a yard here. But how does that not happen? It's the snap. And the key at the snap to me is, one, they're zoning. Like they're zone blocking this left. Like this, I don't get that. That doesn't make sense to me. might be sort of idiotic in that, but it just doesn't make sense because their guys are pushing at you. And when you zone with them pushing up the field, you're going to get sort of pushed back a little bit at least. And in this case, Erickson, that dude's a big old dude, and he's got a block right in front of him. And he just gets pushed back, and Carter can't do anything. And now Edwards doesn't have his head up, and it's just a cluster.
I honestly, like, yes, and you can tell me the schematics all you want to. I'm going to look at this and say that line of scrimmage started here, and as we got going, Kentucky got enough push to get those guys back to here. And when you're trying to get a yard and you get pushed back by half a yard, things can happen.
I would love to see Edwards have his head up maybe a little bit more, kind of stay wide, to allow maybe Jalen to be, because if he stays wide with Jalen, I think he's got more of a chance. But the biggest key to watch the ball at the snap. Go back to the snap and highlight Erickson's and Broderick Jones' left foot, their feet. Because, again, this is a goal line play. And their first step at the snap, and this is one of those things where I've kind of talked about this a little bit on the dog vent, but how, so much of what we do is zone play. So much of what offensive, zone, pass pro, driven, like that's 85% of what you do for the most part as an offensive lineman now. Thus, your first steps are often sideways or very just a little bit of an angle. But look at the guy coming at him. The guy coming at him is coming right at him. He's got no chance with that first step being sideways. If that first step is forward and you're driving through him, now you've got a chance because you have a little bit of leverage. But the sideways step and then you come up, he's eating you alive all day, every day right there. So to me, I don't know why all this isn't just forward.
Yeah, because what you have here is Erickson gets pushed back, completely neutralizes anything Carter can do because he just gets stuck right here. Because if you're able to just maintain your positioning around here, Carter then maybe he's able to get to
he's
right
clearing
here.
the lane.
Yeah, he's clearing a lane this way. You have Darnell doing his thing, but then Edwards has a decision. Do I go into this lane or do I try to bounce it outside based on what's happening here? He has no decisions based on what's going on because, I mean, it's kind of an accordion, right? Because Erickson got pushed back, Jalen Carter did not have a decision to make, and then Edwards did not have a decision to make.
So the other thing, like, think about how the guy who kind of semi makes the play. Look what the block that Warren McClendon has to try to make here with you zoning versus those two guys versus 77 and McClendon going at the guy in front of him. He's got to get to that guy's right shoulder. That's just tough, especially with him going forward. And now that guy he's not inside his head isn't the right side, and now he's beating him. And when Edwards cuts back, boom, right there. That's where it is. It's just tough. I just don't. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me in terms of the technique with the blocking part of that.
Because of all that happened here as well, the chip that Austin Blasky gets on this guy is rendered meaningless because he's able to get back into the play before anything happens and is able to kind of help push. But Blasky's obviously assigned to chip here and then go to the next level. But you watch this play out. This is one of the things that Georgia struggled with in these plays is some backside. I mean, eventually penetration, but some of it was just unblocked. Yeah. But that push there.
And there's a bigger philosophical thing that you could talk about is you're telling the world that you're going now. Ideally, it's one of those where you should be able to get it no matter what kind of thing. But it's just hard. It's hard when it's in a crunched space, and the whole entire defense knows that you're going right there. That's why the play action worked so well the last few times or last game.
Yeah, we just spent like 5 minutes on one play, but people were asking, why can't Georgia get a yard? I get it. Well, this is what I'm talking about here with just leaving someone unblocked, and I don't have a great – I cut this a little too tight because it's already been snapped. No one's blocking this guy, and he makes a play on 4th and goal. And
this is one where Mims is a little too high. He gets like pushback and just too high there. But also, I was shocked that this, like watching this on the all 22 from behind, I was shocked he got stopped. He hit Darnell and just kind of stopped. Like he lost, I don't know if he stepped on his leg or he lost his feet. But the other thing I think we talked about this last week. I don't understand why backs don't do the whole Walter Payton business anymore. Like right there, boom, dive.
Yeah.
Dive, put the ball out, go over the top. Like everybody's playing low. When you stay low, you're hanging out with it where everybody else is. Oh, well. Didn't get it. I think it what? It's like 0 for 7 in short yardage because one was a QB sneak they didn't get when you combine the last 2 weeks they tried to run it. You know, they got a couple of touchdowns to one to Darnell, one to Bowers last week, but still been a struggle bus, obviously, offensively in the short yardage and in the heavy personnel.
In the blocking, Alan makes a good point in the live YouTube chat that Tate Ratledge not played. Yeah, that's a factor in this. Although overall, I thought Willock played pretty well.
Yeah, and it's a small factor, but it is a factor just because if he's the right guard, then maybe Willock is left as opposed to right. Who knows?
Yeah, a lot of different things there. We went long on Georgia's line. You say you're not really worried about it. I know a lot of people are. What I will say is that Kentucky's better on the defensive line than they are on the offensive line, and the SEC has a lot of good defensive lines. Missouri's really good on the defensive line. Heck, even Auburn has some guys on the defensive line. And you don't always see it every week. It's college football. Weird things happen, and all of a sudden Spencer Rattler has the best game of the year of any player. It happens.
He got in the Calzada zone. The Calzada
I like
zone.
that. Tennessee's defense will bring that out. Well, Brent, glad your internet stuck out for this one, and we may even sneak out a little play of the day here impromptu in the end of this. If you want to talk more about defense, we can do it on the tail end of that. Thanks, everybody, for watching here on Film Don't Lie from UGAsports.com. We are thrilled to be doing this along with you, and your support has made it where people like our friends over at Jittery Joe's like to be a part of what we're doing. So go check them out, jitteryjoes.com. That national championship can is something you want to have in your collection, and it's just really good coffee, and this is the time of year that you want to be drinking more coffee because it's getting cold out here, y'all. Have it for Georgia's national championship defense run. For Brent Rollins, I'm Dayne Young. We'll see you here next time here on Film Don't Lie from UGAsports.com.